According to new research from Amazon Ads and Skift, 97% of travelers will take a leisure trip in the next year. These customers are looking for more than a deal. They're looking for a new experience. Travelers discover destinations through entertainment, recommendations, and everyday moments, with 1 in 4 finding their next destination while streaming shows and movies. That's where Amazon Ads comes in. Amazon Ads Solutions empowers advertisers to engage travelers across Prime Video, Twitch, and shopping channels with personalized messaging that inspires and converts. Ready to transform your travel marketing? Visit advertising.amazon.com to learn more. One of the biggest stories in travel tech this week is that Kayak CEO Steve Hafner quietly tried to take the company private. It didn't happen, but the fact that it was attempted tells us a lot about the travel tech, metasearch, and investor confidence at this moment. So joining me on this episode is founding editor Dennis Shaw, here to talk about the scoop that he got last week, right when this story broke on Friday. And so without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this quick GMH special featuring Dennis Shaw on the scoop of Kayak potentially going private. All right, Dennis Shaw, thanks for joining me on this little GMH special. How are we doing today?
Good. Well, great to be here with you.
Yes, it's very rare, I would say, for you and I to get face-to-face time on a pod, but thankful for the opportunity.
Why is that, Will? You have something against me or what?
Heck no, I'm a big fan. I'm a big supporter. I think you're just so busy getting these scoops that you don't have time for recording. Oh. Just joking.
Maybe that's it.
Exactly. You're too busy out there getting the good details. Well, as we kind of preluded into the intro of this episode, I wanted to get your take on the scoop. The article was great, as we got to see that Steve Hafner, CEO of Kayak, tried or attempted to take the company private about 18 to 24 months ago is what the article states. So it's a little old news, but it kind of is what we were saying on the morning show today, is kind of once the genie's out of the bottle, the way you've done it, it's hard to put it back in. So do you think we'll probably see the story pick up steam in the next 12 months?
Well, some people are saying, too little, too late, because so this happened 18 to 24 months ago. And then a few months ago, Booking Holdings had to take an impairment charge because of Kayak. It's an accounting thing. And they basically said Kayak is actually worth $457 million than it was before. And the reason for that has all to do with AI, that, Google Gemini is taking traffic. Google downplayed free links even more than they had done in the past. So Kayak's cash flows were expected to go down, and it would have to pay more to acquire customers. So things are even more dire today than they might have been 18 to 24 months ago when Steve was looking at taking it private.
Do you think that could be potentially why he was trying to take it private? Is he kind of saw the writing on the wall before the earnings calls, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, generative AI probably had just come out, or within the previous 6 months or whatever. And I mean, I've heard rumors about him wanting to do this over the years, even before 2 years ago. And I don't really know, he didn't speak to me about it. So I don't know exactly what his motivations were, but I have to think, it's a common thing when a company gets acquired that it might not get the focus from the larger company that it wants. It might not get the investment. And the fact, Steve is co-founder of the company. And I think he probably feels that, Kayak would do better as an independent company, with more investment, more focus. I don't know what his plans might have been, whether it would have been to stay with metasearch, become an OTA. Kayak also dabbled in becoming a hotel brand a few years ago. So Steve is a very creative guy. I don't know exactly what his plan was, but he obviously felt Kayak would be stronger on its own.
Yeah, well, based on your article too, it seemed like he got pretty far with the proposal in terms of it getting up to Glenn Fogel. How far do you think this really went? Do you think it went all the way up to the point of like, no, this is a for sure not going to happen from the big guy upstairs, aka Glenn, or do you think it was kind of like you said earlier, one of those rumors that you've been hearing throughout the years, where maybe Steve was just definitely gearing up for a potential action but didn't pull the trigger?
I was told he had partners lined up, private equity
Okay.
firms. I'm told that Steve has great connections with private equity firms like Silver Lake. I don't know for sure if they were involved. He had the financing lined up. I'm not sure exactly how far it went, but that Glenn Fogel did not like the idea or didn't sign off on it in the end. From Glenn's standpoint, having an in-house metasearch company is a tremendous advantage. Trip.com group in China has Skyscanner. Expedia is the majority owner of Trivago. And back in the day, especially, Booking, it was then called the Priceland Group. It became Booking Holdings. They acquired Kayak in 2012. And at that time, it was thought that, OTAs need an in-house metasearch company. Those three big players had them. And it's a tremendous marketing advantage for the OTAs to be able to, spend the money internally. So it's really not spent, all the money stays within the company. It doesn't dilute profits and that sort of thing.
I was going to say, well, with the agentic AI piece now, you would think that if that's changing the meta search landscape, that maybe letting Kayak be free on its own would make sense. Especially if they did the 475 or 57, $457 million
right.
impairment, you would think that would be good for them.
Yeah, the jury's out on agentic AI and generative AI as far as the booking piece. We know that travelers are, using, ChatGPT and Perplexity or whatever for discovery.
Yeah.
But my question is, travelers are still very price conscious. A whole segment of travelers are very price conscious where, $20 a night difference on a hotel room is going to make a difference. So my question is, will agentic AI, will they get the best deals? They're going to be making their partnerships, but will they be getting the best deals? Or will travelers still feel like they need to go to Google Hotels or Google Flights or Kayak or whomever to compare prices? Especially because with agentic AI, they're talking about, they're going to be curating everything. So you're not going to see, 20 different results. You're going to see, maybe 1, 2, or 3. So to me, it's, will consumers want to book with ChatGPT? Will ChatGPT be able to offer the hotel or airline loyalty points or miles? So it's really, the jury is really out.
Yeah, that would make sense. And I guess kind of going into some comments you made earlier, I think for asking the question why Kayak would potentially want to be spun out from the parent group. And I think you made some good comments in terms of Steve himself, right? Like Steve is, what we were saying on the show this morning, more of a maverick type, CEO founder, where he's not afraid to do new things like the Kayak Hotel attempt, which I want to ask you actually really quickly. Do you think that could have worked better? Like Kayak would still have a hotel today if they didn't partner with Lifehouse, a startup that was more fast, like kind of shiny startup symbol, or do you think they could have done better with a more what do I call them, like long term, like one of the old school management companies that's been around a while? They have their bearings, they're in the industry, they may not be super tech focused, but they at least know what they're doing when it comes to running a hotel. Do you think that would have worked?
I don't have a good answer to that question. I know Steve was very attracted to sort of a new age hotel management company like Lighthouse with all the technology. But you raise a real point. Maybe a management company with more experience would have done better.
Yeah, maybe a more legacy. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, legacy group. Well, yeah. Okay. So let's focus on kind of why they would want to spin out. Because if Booking.com is writing down on Kayak, kind of to the point you were making earlier, what would imagine like what Kayak would look by itself? Would it be successful? Would it be able to compete, or do you think it would turn more to an OTA rather than just metasearch?
What I know is that within the Booking Holdings family of brands, there's one king of the brands, and that's Booking.com. That is, Booking Holdings had a U.S. OTA that was very prominent in Priceline. Priceline was a household name brand, but they decided to downplay that in favor of Booking.com, and they had to spend all these years, and they're still trying to make Booking.com a household name brand in the U.S. So I think an independent Kayak would get more investment, more attention. It could become an OTA. You were talking about Steve being a maverick. Well, Kayak was one of the first companies to try to turn metasearch into more OTA-like. They had what was called Book on Kayak. They were the first ones to do it. And then Google tried to do it, and both companies dropped it. Steve said, booking on Kayak and book on Google, it's less eventful or less significant than you might think. It's not a game changer. So there's a lot of competition in the OTA world. Could Kayak become an OTA? I guess so. I don't know exactly what his plans were. I'm sure he had it all thought out.
Yeah, one of the comments Brandy made on the show this morning around this is that she went on Kayak recently, and it felt like it was a website stuck in the early 2000s, maybe 2010s. If Kayak gone private, maybe the product, pricing, and hotel relationships would have changed. Question mark, maybe. Knowing that would be a little bit more strategic, knowing that Steve would be a little bit more of a maverick with it.
Right.
But does. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they do have an AI solution where you could conversationally say what you're looking for, like it's something like Airbnb promises to do this year. So it's not like he's totally stuck in the 2000s.
Yeah,
but I see the point.
Yeah, maybe just from a UX design perspective. Right. I think a lot of companies, the moment ChatGPT came out, was like, all right, let's just add it to the website or add it to the product. You can get some simple AI solutions in there.
Ryan Teskey talks about the next wave of companies needing to be native AI. Not just another app, but a whole platform shift. So far that's been a lot of talk rather than implementing new things for Airbnb.
Yeah, he doesn't move as fast as he did in the Silicon days. Now he's big public CEO. So Good ideas, but they are cranking out the PR for sure.
Yep.
Do you think there will be a move like this in the travel tech OTA space in the next 12 months? I know it's hard to put our predictions out there, especially with mega trends coming up, but figuring like, okay, if it doesn't happen with Kayak, do you think something like this could happen with another company that's already kind of, I would say, swooped in with a public offering or part of a big product stack compared to this?
Well, we saw a few years ago, Expedia sell Agencia to Amex GBT. They felt that corporate travel wasn't strategic. And I think there could be more consolidation in the meta space as well. You have Trivago out there, which is kind of teetering, maybe it's $1.50 a share, it's in euros, whatever that is. And I know that there has been talk about a merger of TripAdvisor's metasearch product with Trivago. I know at least one of those players was very interested in it. So there could be some more deals like this. And also, private equity is said to have a lot of money to burn right now. They have a lot of money saved up, and they're ready for deals. Interest rates have been too high, but we could see, once that's unleashed, we could see more companies going private for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you kind of as a follow-up was where do you think the private equity play is going to come in? Yeah, I'm waiting for a big splash, basically based on how much dry powder is just sitting there.
Maybe some of the smaller, up and coming players will go private instead of doing an IPO. Mm-hmm. But I don't see the major OTAs going private.
Yeah, I was going to say probably more of the smaller startups or the upstarts that are growing and have good traction. They're probably going to be fighting between, do we get acquired by a private equity group or do we go to one of the big boys, Booking, Expedia, Airbnb? So you think private equity has a fighting chance?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh. Money talks, especially if you have AI in the name or you're an AI startup. eTraveli group just bought an AI company last week. Well, they're not a private equity company, but they're a private company. So you're going to see a lot of these deals for sure.
I love it. Well, Dennis, thanks for this quick, short, nice and easy little scoop conversation. I love the term scoop, by the way, too. I've always heard like breaking news or, the new term that I learned when entering Skift was the Skift take.
Skift take. They're very popular, those Skift takes.
They are. They're very popular. I'm a fan. But yeah, scoop is one of my new favorite words. Makes me think of big old ice cream scoop at the end of the day. So
they're short and sweet. Yep.
Short and sweet. I like it. Well, thank you so much, Dennis, for taking the time. And for all of our listeners, make sure you read the article, stay in the know-how by going to skift.com and reading all the good scoops that are about to come.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.